When I was 19 years old, I was dating my now husband, then boyfriend, and found out that I was pregnant. He was in the National Guard at the time, and I remember he was away for his 2-week leave, and I remember getting the phone call from the doctor's office and just feeling in shock and numb when I found out. I had been raised in the church, was active in church, knew better than to be living the life that I was living. And when I found out that news, I just felt very scared and alone. I didn't want to tell my parents because I was fearful of my dad's reaction. And for my mom, I couldn't bear the thought of hurting her. To bring shame, that's what I thought it was going to be. I was concerned about the image, at church, and I had heard different ladies in the past talking about other girls that had been in that situation, and just heard comments here and there through the years. And I thought, I can't make my mom a brunt of that kind of conversation and that kind of gossip. And I really just didn't take time to think about it. And from the time that I found out I was pregnant until I went and had the abortion, it was only 2 weeks. I can remember going to the clinic that day and sitting in the little intake lobby room that they had, and one of the workers just asked if we had questions and kind of went through our stories, and she said to me, at the time I had my abortion, I was 8 weeks pregnant, and she just kind of leaned forward and she said, "Don't worry, honey, it's no bigger than the size of the tip of your finger." She held her hand like that, and she said, "It's just a glob of tissue." Afterwards, I just felt numb. It was very short order that I knew that what I had done was wrong. So really carried that alone for a long, long time. And it was actually about 21 years. I knew that God had forgiven me when I asked immediately, once I knew that I really had done was wrong. I knew that He had forgiven me, so I had that in my heart. I didn't realize I hadn't forgiven myself. And I carried a lot of shame and guilt and the weight of that. And so just a lot of difficult, hard things came from that. But 21 years later, I was sitting in a women's conference and heard a speaker. She was talking about just how God is, what the Lord has done for us, what Jesus did for us on the cross, and that when we can't forgive ourselves for something, it's like looking at Him on the cross and saying, but that wasn't enough for my sin. And when she said that, it was like a light bulb just went off, and thought, that's what this is. Because I thought that all the pain that I was carrying was just consequence of my sin. This is, God's forgiven me, but this is what's going to happen. This is just part of it. I'm gonna be upset when I hear about abortion. I'm gonna want to get up out of a room because I'm gonna break into tears if they talk about it on the news, because those were the things that were happening. And once I discovered that that's what that was, and I acknowledged it for that, and really truly forgave myself in that instant, the Lord took the weight of that off of me. And I can honestly say that it's been about 15 years now, and I've never felt that again. I was wanting to be able to get involved at the pregnancy center and be able to give back, and I always thought that it was like, someday God's going to use me, allow me to help maybe keep another girl from making the choice that I had made. Didn't even know that aftercare was a thing, that it was something that was available, until I heard about the Haven, and then came here in order to walk through the healing process to be able to volunteer at the pregnancy center. But walking through the healing here at the Haven has let me know that this is where God wants me. And that through that, the gifts that I have received was, again, just being able to really, truly acknowledge the life of my child. Through the healing recovery program that we do, He showed me my little girl. He showed me her name, and that her life matters, and that she exists. I've always known, and felt that I would see her one day in heaven, but it's so much more real now. If I could tell someone out there that has experienced abortion, that is the 1 in 3, I'd want them to know that there is hope and healing.